here we go. I'm going to get a little bit meta today, and I want to talking about global heating. Um, Global heating is an observation. Uh, it is something we can measure. It was predicted 150 years ago by Fourier. He was trying to explain why the Earth is not completely frozen, given the distance from the sun, and he came up with a calculation for how much the atmosphere itself actually warms the Earth. And I don't know if he coined the term greenhouse effect, but in any case, that's what it is. The atmosphere itself warms the Earth. And then Svante Arrhenius did some work trying to describe, okay, so how does that actually happen? How is it that the atmosphere and the components of the atmosphere take sunlight, basically convert it into heat, and then retain it? And how does that work mechanistically? So this is all physics. And at this point, the greenhouse effect is well documented. Just physics of black body radiation, we know that there's a warming influence, and Fourier knew that. So there you go. But I understand. I really do understand that this stuff is not easy. It's not easy. So I'm a scientist. I have a background education in science, and I communicate science all the time, and I wrap my head around these topics all the time. I understand that they're difficult. I understand that it's really hard for people to go into these details, and you can see it. People are frequently overwhelmed by what's happening in their world, and that's where a lot of this UFO stuff comes from, and a lot of the just all the conspiracies. It's just people really struggling to make sense of what's happening in their world. And you can imagine, as the world has become more complicated, that effort becomes increasingly important to people trying to make sense of the world. And it always was this way. We are this way. That's where all of your religions and spiritual traditions come from, right? The lightning, and so there must be a person up there throwing lightning bolts down. Terrible disease spreads through the community. There must be, some wrathful person who's looking down on the people and saying wrath, wrath. And so we just try to make sense of things. And of course, we interpret everything from our own perspective. When we get angry, we throw down. And so if there's lightning coming down, there must be an angry person up in the sky who's throwing lightning bolts down. And every tradition, every tradition that ever has been, has tried to interpret nature based on the human model, us. We are the model for everything that happens in the world. And so we have gods and we have goddesses, and we have, gods who throw lightning bolts and others that throw plagues. So that's how we imagine it, and that got us to a certain point. And then about the time of the Enlightenment, we started thinking about the world differently, and the thinking about the world that was a big change for humanity was that we could think about the world. That was really the takeaway from the Enlightenment. That was really where people began to think. My wife, trying to get my attention. Yeah? I guess she gave up. Anyway, we started thinking that it was okay to think about the world. And from that, and the first group of people who did that were called natural philosophers. So let's just unpack that a little bit. So there were always philosophers. And there were philosophers who focused on the mind of God and the will of God, and philosophers who wondered about what is the fundamental framework of life, the universe, and everything. And the natural philosophers came along and they said, okay, that's all well and good, but look, while you're worried about the gods and the goddesses and the lightning and the plagues and the fundamental nature of of forgiveness or redemption or whatever. Nature is pretty messed up. I mean, look at all this stuff going on. Look at all these fossils, and look at all these weird phenomena in the world. So the natural philosophers were like, okay, yeah, you guys over there, you continue to do what you're doing, that's fine. But we're kind of getting interested in what nature's doing. And the natural philosophers, this would have been 1600s, 1700s, eventually they became scientists. And this transition happened slowly. For example, the natural philosophers were all into alchemy. And can you get gold from lead? And can you discover the elixir for immortality? So, but alchemy because they were looking at real things, right? Not angels and demons, and they were looking at real things. They were looking at lead, and how can I convert this lead to gold? Then they're looking at gold, and they never figured out how to convert lead to gold because you can't do that. But while they were looking at lead, they began to study materials, and that's why alchemy became chemistry. And chemistry is real. Chemistry is behind all your pharmaceuticals, all your material sciences. We've made great, enormous advancements in chemistry. We still haven't figured out how to turn lead into gold because you don't. And we still haven't figured out the elixir for immortality, although, hey, let's face it, antibiotics, not bad, not bad. And so on. So we have been doing that in many areas, including our analysis of living things, mountain building, the oceans, currents, atmospheric phenomena, clouds, rain, hail, lightning again, right? What is really going on there? Forget the guy in the sky with wrathful lightning. Let's just look at what's really going on there. And so by degrees, we have come to a point where we are now in the sciences. Now, science is hard. A lot of people, even today, kind of like the simplicity, the actual simplicity of, well, the reason there's lightning is because there's an angry man, old man, because you tend to get angry old men. There's an angry old man up there who's throwing down lightning, and this plague over here is because you're evil, right? Not because there's a germ theory of disease, but because you're evil. And there's another there, HIV or whatever, right? So we still are trapped in this way of looking at the world that really goes back to the first humans who sat around the campfire, and that's all they had was fire, right? Fire and stone tools, and domesticated animals like wolves becoming dogs. So they were sitting around trying to figure out the universe, and we're still doing that. Lots of us are still doing that. And the reason is because science is hard. Science is really hard. Now, there's a small segment of the population that can wrap their head around science, and including the scientific method, because it's hard. And really, science is unnatural. Science is unnatural. You have to be a very particular type of personality to want to know what's under a rock or under a log. And most kids are running around in the playground, and they're throwing the ball, and they're tackling each other, and they're kissing behind the backstop or whatever. And then there's somebody who's like, what kind of plant is that? Wait, is there an animal in that hole? Hold on. I just saw an animal come out of that hole, and he ate that plant. What is going on here? What kind of animal is that? Teacher, there's an animal over here in a hole. That's a particular type of mind that will do that. And that person is rare. And it's possible that most humans alive today have lived their entire life into advanced adulthood and never met that person. Yes, that's possible. Because that kind of mind is so rare. To not throw the ball, not be kissing behind the backstop, not be spreading rumors and lies about each other, not be, tackling each other and beating, and not bullying someone else, and not, crying over spilt milk. That's what people want to do. And you can go your whole life and not find somebody who thinks that's not the best way to spend your time. Science is hard. Very few of us even try. So when I get on here, I talk about climate science, and I'm talking about all the complexities of this and all the evidence for it and the things that are happening to us. And once in a while I'll say that people just don't get it, and I'll also say, and I understand that. I do understand that. And this is why I want to make very clear. When I say that people don't get it, I'm not being deliberately mean. I am recognizing that. I have to recognize that, because that means I have a big communications challenge here. A big challenge to try and communicate the urgency of where we're at. And I don't know how to do that, because where we're at is really complicated. And it's complicated by the fact that the things that are happening to us now are kind of a little bit like an angry old man in the sky throwing down retribution in lightning bolts. Meaning it's just coming out of the blue. We have no framework around which to wrap our brains that this is happening to us. We've had so much control, certainly over the last 300 years of the Industrial Revolution. We've had so much control over the earth. And all the wild animals that used to keep us afraid, they're in cages now. And all the diseases, there's ways to handle that. And we have doctors and nurses and hospitals and immunization and antibiotics, and everything's fine. Don't worry about it. No, most people don't understand any of that stuff. But they don't have to, because someone else does. Someone knows how much of that antibiotic to give you in your injection, and then you'll be well. And sure enough, it works. And so after it works enough times, people go back there. They don't have to know. It's all magic. It really is. And they don't have to know, but they know it works. So there's enough people running around who understand how these things work and can interpret that in terms of maybe telling you, yes, you have an infection. You do need an antibiotic. Here's a prescription. Pick it up at Walgreens. Take it for 7 days and you'll be fine. Okay, we can understand that part. We can all understand, I'm going to the doctor, I have an infection, I have a fever, whatever, and I'm going to the doctor, and I expect the doctor to do something, probably prescribe a pill. And the doctor prescribes a pill and writes it down, hands it to me. I'll phone this into Walgreens. You'll get a text message, or you'll get a phone call. Go to Walgreens, pick up the pill, take the pill, and you'll feel better in 7 days. That's easy. We don't have to know how the antibiotic works. It can just be magic. That's fine. We just take the pill, and in 7 days we feel better. And we don't have to know that there are germs in our body, whatever it is, streptococcus or some pneumonia or some virus. Well, they wouldn't give you an antibiotic for a virus. Oh, and there's a reason for that, by the way. So we don't have to know, we don't even have to have a germ theory of disease in our minds. We don't even have to know that there is a thing called the germ theory of disease. Oh, just like there's a theory of evolution, right? See what I just did there? Yeah, there's a germ theory of disease that informs what your doctor or your nurse wants you to do to save yourself. There's a germ theory of disease that they are operating on. And it's real. And you don't have to know that, but that's what they're doing. And science gives us all these things, and most of us, most of the time, just kind of go along with it. And we don't question it because it works. Although there are people who question it. There are definitely people who think it's not the right thing to do. You shouldn't be putting things in your body that you don't understand. You should be, what, dare I say it, reliant on prayer? Yes, there is some of that out there. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But when it doesn't, well, then they have a rationale why it didn't. You didn't do it right. It wasn't authentic. Wrong God. God wasn't listening. There's something they come up with why it didn't work. Or you could have gone to the doctor, got the antibiotic, taken the antibiotic, and got better. That's the other thing you could have done. But people still don't do that. Or they don't believe the doctor. All the time. Happens all the time. And because it's complicated, because medicine, I'm just looking at medicine, something that everybody has to deal with eventually. Just going to the doctor because you feel bad. Just dealing with medicine. There's a science of medicine that people cannot comprehend. Oh, and by the way, before I leave that topic, there are parts of, I'll call it medicine, for lack of a better term. It's anesthesiology that people don't understand. The practitioners, the anesthesiologist, when you go in for surgery, appendicitis or whatever, right? You go in for surgery, they're going to put you under. That's what they call it. We're going to put you under. People say, oh, great, well, I'll sleep through the whole thing. That's right, you will. But they don't actually know what happens to you when they put you under. You're not sleeping. That's a fact. They know that much. So what is happening? The anesthesiologist can't tell you. They don't know. You think I'm making this up? I'm not making this up. There is no science of anesthesiology. They do it every day. And the anesthesiologist is, generally speaking, the most highly paid, just money, member of the surgical team. Now, you'll have a doctor and a surgeon, and you'll have a specialist, and then you'll have a couple of nurses, and then you'll have the anesthesiologist who's looking at the gauges, watching the heart, looking at whatever else they look at, and they're monitoring the application of the anesthetics, and they're the most highly paid person on the team, generally speaking. And they have no idea how it works. And you think I'm making that up, but I'm not. Just Google it. How does anesthesia actually work? Okay, you might find something that someone thinks they know how it works, but it's been a big controversy in medical science that we're doing this and we don't know how it works. And it's even become like spiritual. Well, if we don't know how it works, then maybe it's something we can never know. Maybe it's just a miracle. And we can't say anything about that. Maybe. Because we don't know. Science is hard, is my point. And most people go through their entire lives never doing science. Most people go through their entire lives with only a very, very superficial understanding of how science is working in their life. And I understand that. And that's fine. You don't have to know how spread spectrum radio works. You don't have to know how your cell phone works. You don't have to know what a cell phone tower is or how it works. You don't have to know anything about antibiotics. You don't have to know anything about anesthetics. You don't have to know anything about drug interactions. And people take drugs all the time. They smoke pot and they take heroin. You don't have to know any of that. You can still participate in these subcultures and you don't have to know how it works. You don't have to know where your water comes from. You don't have to know where your electricity comes from. You just don't have to know. There's an outlet on the wall. It's got slots in it. You take this plug, you plug it in, you turn the thing on. Yep, it works. And then you walk away. You don't have to know how your computer works. You don't have to know how anything in your house works. You don't have to know how it works. It works. You push the button, you turn the knob, you plug the thing in, and it works. And if the water heater ever stops working, you call a person on the phone. And you don't know how the phone works. And you don't have to know. It's not necessary. It's been made simple for the end user. And the complexity is behind the curtain. Now, complexity can still trip you up. There's probably been a lot of people surprised to find out their cell phone suddenly doesn't work. And we have kind of this mythology like, well, how many bars do you have? Bars? Oh, I don't have any bars. What difference does that make? Well, if you don't have any bars, you can't place a phone call on your cell phone. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, I've always had bars. I've never even looked at my bars. I don't even know what bars are. Why are there bars? Well, I don't know either, but I'm just telling you. If you have no bars, you can't use your phone. And not for the purpose you will like it. You can use it as a paperweight, but you can't use it to make a phone call. So there are a lot of people who discover suddenly that their phone doesn't work because they don't have any bars. And that's a thing. And they never had that problem before. And all of a sudden they do. So now they just learned something. Except they still don't know what bars are, or why you might not have any, or why they're so important. But that's because it didn't matter up until the point when you were at some place where there are no bars. And that's how we live with complexity. And that's fine. Until now. That's fine with your cell phone. It doesn't matter if you don't understand why you can't place a call. That's fine. It's inconvenient, but it's okay. But the complexity surrounding global heating and the resulting climate change, it's not okay that you don't know how this works. It's not okay. And that's where I become worried. I can't explain this. I can't even explain, well, I could. It would take me a while. Explain why bars are so important on your cell phone. It would take me half an hour, probably, to explain what cell towers are, how they work, why you always have bars on your phone, and why suddenly you might not, and what happens when you don't. I could explain all that. I don't know why I would, because whatever, you're going to figure that out on your own. But when it comes to something like climate science, or to put it more specifically, put it more correctly, our understanding and study of the Earth dynamic system, when it comes to that, I can't explain it to you. It's just too big. I try. I talk about phenomena. I just did a video a little bit ago about how we're having the hottest, many parts of the United States of America are about to have the hottest Christmas on record. I tried to explain that. And I just dove into it, and I apologized at the beginning of the video. I said, listen, man, this is science. This is going to get complicated. I apologize in advance. And I just waded into it. And the reason why I apologize in advance is because I understand it's going to be intimidating. It just is. It's intimidating as hell. And that would be fine. That would be on a level like not understanding why your phone isn't working all of a sudden because you have no bars. And you never thought about having bars. And you don't know what bars are. Okay, that's a little bit intimidating, like my phone. I made my phone payment for my plan. My phone is paid up. It's working. I made a call with it half an hour ago, but now I can't make a call. I have no bars. What about my bars? That's intimidating. That's like you're on the wrong foot here, right? Wait, this doesn't always work? Hold on. I don't understand how this works then, because now it's not working, and you're saying it usually works, but now it's not, and there's a reason? Well, I don't know what the reason is, and you can't explain it to me. So that's a little off-putting. I'm a little confused, and maybe I'm even a little angry, right? I paid for my plan. My plan is paid up, and now I can't make a phone call? Why? What did I do wrong? Whose fault is this? So you could get angry. You could get angry about this. Why don't I have bars? Did they leak out of the phone? Shake, shake, shake. Where'd they go? You could get angry about this. You could want to sue somebody. You could storm the Capitol. And if you're someplace where you have no bars on your phone and you're trying to dial 911, and well, then you could, you might not get the help you're expecting to get. Someone fell down. They're having a medical crisis, and you're dialing 911. You got no bars. And it's like, why do I have this stupid phone? Well, if I can't make the call I want to make when this person is on the ground having a heart attack, you could get angry. You could sue somebody. I had no bars. I paid my bill, but I had no bars. So this could be really tense. And that's right now your relationship with global heating. You're at a point where you have no bars. And you're looking at your cell phone, you're saying, this isn't working. What do you mean, how many bars do I have? Where do I check that? Up here? Oh, yeah, there's none. But there's always like a lot of them. And this is the point where we are all at now. Even the scientists are at this point. Trust me on this. I watch them flailing. They are flailing, and they are not handling this well. It's too complicated. It's too complicated. I'm a little bit afraid. I am a little bit afraid at this point. I've been watching the weather unfold here in the good old US of A. And over the last few months of watching this play out, starting in late summer, right through the fall, and to now, like right now, a few days before Christmas, where they're forecasting record hot temperatures for Christmas, record heat for Christmas in the dead of winter. Christmas is literally the holiday, the pagan holiday, that is celebrated at the deepest part of winter. That's why it's there. It's in the heart of the coldest part of the northern hemisphere. That's why it's there. And at the coldest spot of the northern hemisphere, we're having record temperatures, record heat, breaking records. Not just hot, like this is interesting. No, record temperatures. And at the same time, right here on the west coast where I live, there have been a series of what they call, they put names on things, right? They put names on things that's supposed to make you feel better about it. Well, I'm not feeling better about it. There's a series of atmospheric rivers. An atmospheric river, you all know what that is, right? Nothing to be worried about. It's just a little old atmospheric river, And so they put a name on it, and they talk about it, and it's not a big deal. It's just an atmospheric river. We've had a series of these things. We used to get atmospheric rivers like once every few years. Now we're getting 8, 10, 15 of them back to back. There's so much rain falling on the Pacific Northwest that they're having cataclysmic flooding events. Cataclysmic. We won't even know how bad it is. We won't even know how bad it is until finally the floods recede and someone can get in there and have a look around. Meanwhile, there's what is essentially, I just learned this morning, the guy I listened to, Michael Snyder, he said the weather is turning sinister. There's a word for you. Look it up. Sinister. He says the weather in Southern California is going to be sinister. We have essentially, out of the blue, again, there it is, right? No one saw this coming. We have essentially a cold core hurricane spinning up off the California coast. A cold core hurricane. Not a hot core hurricane like spins up in the Gulf of Mexico or Caribbean Ocean. A cold core hurricane spinning up off the California coast with hurricane force winds. And it's going to bring torrential rains. It's a cold core hurricane. What the actual fuck? Oh, and by the way, this is the second one in about 2 months, maybe even a month. This is the second one. Excuse me. This is the second one we've had. Cold core hurricanes. Are you even kidding me? Is this serious? It's going to be sinister now? And they're talking about massive flooding in Southern California and debris flow and landslides because of this hurricane with hurricane force winds? It's going to be, blowing people's roofs off, I suppose, on the coast. Not so much where I am, but, okay, we'll find out, right? We'll see. So, I have been watching this for a long time. I'm a scientist. I understand how this works. And when I say things like I did in the last video, yes, it's complicated. Your dynamic system, it operates in a multivariate phase space. I don't even know how many variables there are. It's multidimensional. It's but 100 working operating dimensions, each of which has probably multiple variables, and all these hundreds of dimensions are playing out at the same time. And some of these things represent local equilibria, and some of them represent local disequilibria. And so the whole system's on the move, and it's like a pinball or maybe a billiard ball on a table full of other billiard balls, multidimensional, right? And all these things are bouncing off of each other, and they're all heading in all these strange directions, and one hits another, and that heads over here, and that's now in a new phase space. Where did that happen? And it's all chaotic, and I don't mean chaotic like a kindergartner classroom is chaotic. It's mathematical chaos. And the problem with mathematical chaos is it's predictable. There you go. This whole thing is operating in a phase space with, it's all three body problems. It's all geared together, and every gear is kicking another gear. And it is like the three body problem. It is inherently chaotic. Inherently chaotic. And the chaos is predictable. And we are now in the grips of this thing. And I'm saying all these things to you because I'm trying to wrap my head around how complex this is. And the computer models are failing us, and the weather people are failing us, and the government is shutting down the supercomputers, and but it almost doesn't matter. The supercomputers were useful when the number of billiard balls that were in motion wasn't like in the thousands and millions. The weather models had some authority, but now they don't. And now we have essentially a cold core hurricane spinning up off of California to come and devour us on Christmas Day. Meanwhile, 1,000 miles the other direction, they're about to have the hottest Christmas on record. And I don't get it. I don't know. I don't have a handle on this, people. I don't have a handle on this. But I'll tell you what I'm seeing. See, I'm actually, my superpower is pattern recognition. I don't always know why. I have a bad feeling. But I know I'm having a bad feeling. And I've learned to listen to that. I'm having a bad feeling right now. I was watching this morning on my walk. I went for a walk. I came back. I was watching this morning Michael Snyder just explaining how this low pressure center was going to spin up out of nowhere. And I watched it on the model projections in here. That's just spun up. Low pressure cold core hurricane. And just spun up out of nowhere. Like God was stirring the atmosphere with a finger. Stirring the atmosphere with a finger. I don't get it. I don't know what's happening. This is bad. This is really bad. But the pattern I'm seeing is this shit is coming unglued. That's the pattern I'm seeing. Here's what I think is going to happen. I don't know exactly when, but I don't have to know when because it's soon. The Earth dynamic system, which is a multivariate system with multiple overlapping and interfering complex chaotic elements, is blowing itself to rat shit. Now, we did that. We did that with global heating. And it's been a long time coming. The heat has been building up and building up, and the systems have been breaking and falling apart. But this is how it is. You know, when the bridge finally falls down, it was months, even years of stress fractures building up in that structure. Building up and building up and building up. Finally, there's the mythical straw that broke the camel's back right there. The mythical thing. The one little thing. Just here. This shouldn't matter, right? I'm just going to do this. And then the whole thing comes crashing down. And that's where we are right now. That's my sense. I'm watching these things happening, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but what I'm seeing operate is the Earth dynamic system is on an excursion. It's on the move. It's on the move, people. Oh, man. Oh, you don't want that. You do not want that. But this has been coming. It's now on the move. And I don't feel very good about this at all, and you shouldn't either. And all the things we thought were going to be happening in the year 2050 or the year 2100, the mythical year 2100, we have to prepare for the year 2100 because something bad might happen, you know, and you know, that's 70 years from now or 80 years from now, but the year 2100, maybe even the year 2150, right? And so it's down the road. No, it isn't. It's not down the road. I'm sorry. Sorry to break it to you, folks. It's here. I can see it. I can hear it. I can feel it. She's a coming. Lord, she's a coming. I think the Earth dynamic system is about to throw us a curveball. Now, the curveball itself was predicted. People have been predicting hothouse Earth for a long time. There are some places on Earth that are very hot. Yeah, people don't live there. Well, extrapolate that to another third of the Earth. The temperate regions, right? Here in the U.S., that would be everything around below 35 degrees north latitude. The temperate regions are going to be overcome with equatorial conditions. That's my fear. that the system is breaking down. And everything that we thought that was sacred and eternal about weather and climate and our understand and predictability, the authority that our climate models and weather models have had up to now, everything we thought would be perfect and fine, and we'll have a handle on this, and it's all science, and I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it. I just watch the news at 6:30 every evening, and they give me the rundown, and I know what to do tomorrow. Do I need to wear a coat? Do I need to wear t-shirts or flip-flops? Do I need to have an umbrella? Do I need, what do I have to do? And so, I trust that they have enough understanding 24, 48 hours out, and I can live with that, and I think all that's out the window now. That's my feeling. I think it's over. I think it's done. No, I'm not really sure what comes after that. Oh man. It's like, what comes after an asteroid strike? Well, you could ask the dinosaurs. They were there. They have an answer for you. This is, I don't know if this is going to be like that, but something. I don't know what we do after this. I'm not even sure what this is. I'm not even sure what's about to hit us. I know that the Earth dynamic system is changing. I know it's on the move. I know that. I feel it tripping over all these tipping points and all these random variables and shit that we didn't even know we were supposed to be looking at. We've been looking at things, and there's a whole nother bunch of things. There's 10x more things we were supposed to be looking at, and we didn't because we didn't know they were important. And we're kind of new at this. We're new at this global system modeling thing. And we tried to model it like weather, and that didn't work. And then we had to get supercomputers to do it differently. And that's been better, but we're still behind. And now the system is actually on the move. The system didn't wait for us to catch up. The system didn't wait for us to perfect our models of the Earth dynamic system with all the multivariate variables and all the levels of dimensions and all the trip hazards and everything else. We have been wrapping our head around this, and the science is moving forward, but we've run out of time. We've run out of time. And now it's on the move. That's my feeling. That's my sense. It's on the move. I don't know where it's taking us now. I don't like it. I don't like the looks of it. I'm really worried. And I can't explain that to people. I just know. That's my superpower. I just feel it. I just know. I've seen enough. Is this it? Is this the end game? Do we have a few months, a year? It's coming apart. I'm telling you, it's coming apart. Maybe it pulls itself back together again temporarily and spins along for a little while, but this machine is about to blow itself to rat shit. And then what? And what's that going to look like? How is that going to affect first? And who all will be affected? Where? When? How badly? We're inside this thing. This is what's kept us alive as a species for 300,000 years, and as the dominant species for certainly 20,000 years. And we kind of destroyed it. We did that. We kind of fucked it up. And we should at least be having the discussion along the lines of what I just said. We don't understand the system. It's moving faster than we can catch up. It's outrunning us. We don't know how it works. We're clearly fucking it up. We sent the planet careening on this journey, this Earth dynamic system. We kicked it hard with our enhancements to the greenhouse effect and loading up all this extra heat and energy into the system. We did that. We did that by burning fossil fuels. If we had a clear model of what that was going to do to us, which we don't, all we have is people like me that are vibing. I'm like, this is bad, folks. This is really bad. You may want to look at this. Excuse me. I want to point something out to you. This looks really horrendous. Okay, if we had something working for us other than vibes like that, then maybe we could go to our national leaders and we could say something like, yeah, according to the calendar, we don't have much time left. They did the movie, right? Don't Look Up. And they were really talking about climate change. I'd call it global heating because that's the physics of it. But they didn't use that. They used an asteroid strike, meteor strike. And science knew, right? We have telescopes. So we do deep field analysis, and we have satellites up there looking at all these moving objects, and we have mathematics, right? From the time of Isaac Newton, right? We have mathematics to describe all these things. So in the movie, they did the math, and they did the math pretty much in their heads. The students and the teacher are sitting around with pocket calculators doing the math. This shit ain't complicated, folks. So they were just watching the thing in the space and tracking it with the telescopes. It's all in the movie, right? And they're doing the math like this, and they come up and they get the number 0. 0. Now I knew exactly what that meant. Because I'm a scientist, and I know how numbers work. I knew what they were doing. I mean, I wasn't watching them do the math. I wasn't helping them do the math, but I'm a scientist. I knew exactly what they were doing in the movie. And he's writing down the numbers. What's the next one? Okay, let's do this. And what's the next one? Is it? And then he gets, what's the next one? 0. He writes a 0. And that's the moment. And then he stops. And then he doesn't know what to do with 0. And the rest of the movie is about what do you do with 0? And he wipes it off with his hand off the whiteboard. Okay, guys, I think we're done for tonight. We're tired. That's great effort. Thank you very much. He's wiping all these numbers off. But in his head, 0, 0, 0, 0. And that's where I'm at right now. I have seen 0. Oh, no. I think it's coming apart, folks. I think it's coming apart. I don't know when, and I don't know what it's going to look like as it falls to pieces. Like a building coming down. What will it look like? Who will be inside the building? Who will get trapped? Who will get away? I don't know. I think it's falling apart. The Earth dynamic system is falling apart. 0. I'm worried. And I can't explain it. I wish we understood the system better. I wish we had a proper mathematics for this. I wish we could model this. But we are still, even at this late date in our evolution, we are still just barely better than chimps. We don't understand. We did what we did. We understood what we were doing. We were making money. We were flying. We were driving. We were moving goods. We had jobs. There was money everywhere. We knew what we were doing. We knew why we were doing it. But we didn't know what we were doing. And now, the Earth dynamic system is flying to pieces. And most people, 999.99999% of people will never understand that that's what's happening. They'll never understand that's what's happening. And then, of course, the scientists won't know why it's happening. They'll understand that it's happening, but they won't know why. So that's not much better, right? Most people don't even know that there is an Earth system. They don't know that it's flying to pieces, and they will never know, and they'll simply suffer and die. Probably a lot of them will just die. And the scientists who know that this is happening, I'm here telling you this is happening. They don't know why it's happening. Except ultimately we know we did this. We've known since Fourier, we've known since Arrhenius, and we've known since the 60s when the fossil fuel industry started taking this seriously. For their own reasons, of course, to get out in front of it before anyone else could come along and say, hey, I'd knock that off. And they did. To their credit, they did it. They got out ahead front of this thing first before anyone else could get out in front. The scientists were, I'm hard on scientists. I'm hard on these climate scientists because they didn't even take their own work seriously. The fossil fuel industry absolutely took it seriously. And the scientists who really should have also taken it seriously, this is their science. This is their wheelhouse, right? They didn't. They didn't take it seriously. Now, I understand why the energy companies took it seriously because global heating and climate change are a threat to their business model. So they had a fiduciary responsibility and a financial incentive to take it seriously. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to stop people from burning fossil fuels. No, that was not their plan. But they're going to stop people from talking about stop burning fossil fuels. They're going to negate that when people start talking about, maybe the problem is we're burning fossil fuels. They're going to come out with their lobbyists and all their deniers and say, hold, time out. That's all a hoax. Because they know it's true. So their response is to say, it's not true. What else are they going to say? That's all they can say. So they say that. And they get people like Donald Trump on board and all the other assholes in the GOP, and they get them on board. It's all a hoax. Look, it's snowing today. Oh, and then tomorrow it'll be raining. Climate changes all the time. And so, and there's money involved, there's power involved, there's influence involved. And so all the chimps come out and say, it's a hoax, it's a lie, it's a conspiracy. Yeah, you have an agenda. Yeah, you're just a fearmonger and all these other things, and we're going to throw you in a prison. We're going to shoot you at dawn if you don't shut up about it. And intimidate everybody and throw everybody else in prison and no conversations about this because it's all a hoax. You're fear-mongering and you have an agenda and there's a conspiracy. So that's what they've been doing. And to their credit, it worked. And they knew they had to do that because it's all true. And like the asteroid in Don't Look Up, it's true. So all you can do is lie about it. Now, of course, what the movie comes down to is it didn't save anybody. You can lie about physics all you want to. Physics is just going to do what it does. Physics is knocking on the door right now. Hi, I'm here. You think I'm a hoax? No, I'm not a hoax. I'm physics. I'm the laws of the universe. You want to talk about the laws of the universe? Because I got a lot to say about the laws of the universe. So let's just have that conversation. Oh, you don't want to talk about the laws of the universe? You don't want to talk about Newtonian mechanics and relativity and the greenhouse effect and all this other stuff? You don't want to hear about that? Okay, fine. We don't have to have that conversation. I'm not invested. I'm just physics. I'm just this stupid force of nature, and I don't have any investment in how you people are going to cope. Physics is just going to do what physics does. So there you go. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. And if your politicians and your lobbyists for the oil industry don't want you to talk about it, then don't talk about it. That's okay. You don't have to. And in fairness, on the topic of this video, in fairness, even if you wanted to talk about it, you'd fail. And when I hear people talking about global heating and what we should do and what, how we got here, the thing that they never say, ever, I've never heard anyone say this. My wife claims that she sometimes runs across podcasts where sometimes people say this, but I haven't heard it. And I'm sure she's right, but it's not so widespread that I've run across it. So, and the thing they don't want to talk about is we have to stop burning fossil fuels. Because that's what you have to do. Or are you going to do that? Well, that's what you have to do. I know you don't want to do that, but that's what you have to do now. And we're not doing that. We're still burning fossil fuels. And every year is a bit hotter or just about as hot as every year before. And the 10 hottest years on record on the planet are the last 10 years. And we were not supposed to exceed 1.5 degrees above a pre-industrial baseline, and now we're at 3 years. We have exceeded 1.5 degrees above a pre-industrial baseline. And pretty soon, of course, we're going to exceed 2.0 degrees above a pre-industrial baseline. And after that, we'll exceed 2.5. And after that, we'll exceed 3.0. Because that's what we're doing. And the Earth dynamic system is governed by physics, not by politics, not by economics, not by religion. Well, that's what governs us. But the Earth system is governed by physics. And so if you have rational reasons for burning fossil fuels, because driving and flying and moving goods and moving money and having jobs and floating all the boats and helping all the poor people and equity and justice and trans rights and all this stuff, and that's all the reasons you're burning fossil fuels, okay, you can have all that. Those can be your reasons. But that's not going to save you from an excursion of the Earth dynamic system, because that's physics. And I wish I could explain why it's so hard. It's too hard. Just leave it at that. And all the progressives and all the optimists are all going to say, well, we can figure this out. We just need better politicians. We need better economists. We need better spiritual leaders. We need to get money out of politics. We need to punish the oil companies. We need to do all the, remove the subsidies on oil products, remove the subsidies on big ag. We just need to do these things and straighten all this out and get, no. For one thing, you're not going to do any of those things because those are the power brokers. And you say you're going to hurt them and shut them down and make them do the thing, they're not going to let you do that. And there's another reason why you're not going to do that. Because you like the way things are. I like the way things are. We like the way things are. And none of us, and we haven't, and I'm predicting we won't, are going to rock the boat. We're not going to rock the boat. And we'll punish the oil companies, and we'll sue the oil companies, but we'll never stop the flow of crude oil or coal or natural gas or any of the rest of it. We'll invent electric vehicles, but we won't require people to buy them. Will we? We'll have solar panels. We'll have other panels. We'll have magic panels. We'll have panels of all kinds. And that's all manufacturing. And you can't manufacture anything, not even a tiny little screw, bolt or nut or washer or anything else without fossil fuels. So you're not going to manufacture your way out of this. You just have to leave the crude oil in the ground. And no one's going to do that. We have to leave the crude oil in the ground, and we're not going to do that. And my wife gets really frustrated with me when I say that. And I say, I don't know what to tell you, honey. We're not doing that. Data, every year we extract more. We're not leaving it in the ground. Don't tell me that we can leave it in the ground. Clearly, we cannot. Well, we need different politicians. We need different subsidies. We need different incentives. Okay, well, work on that then, I guess. But I don't think people share your incentive structure. Everybody wants to drive. Everybody wants to fly. Everybody wants to have a job. Everybody wants manufacturing. Everybody wants their Amazon Prime. Everybody wants the internet and the electricity and the water at the tap, and they want to flush the toilet and have the poop go away magically. Okay, this is what people want. Why wouldn't they want those things? Everybody wants those things. Well, they're all made possible with copious, constant, increasing uses of fossil fuels. All of it. 100% of it. 100% of the time. All the time. For everyone. 100% of everybody. All the time. Even the Amish. Yes, even the Amish. I'm worried. We're not going to do this. The system is already falling apart. It's almost like it's too late. Maybe we should have had these discussions 70 years ago. Oh, wait, that's right. That's when the oil companies were deciding we can't have these discussions. So we didn't. And we're not going to, and now it doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter at this point. Now, this is where I say I'm an optimist. I'm actually optimistic. I am. I am an optimist because I have seen the light. I've seen the light. And I know we're not going to save ourselves. And I know it's too complicated. I know that people will never understand this. I know that most scientists don't understand this. I realize that I can't talk to anybody about this on the level that I feel like I comprehend this. And to some extent, I'm vibing my way through this. I got a bad feeling, folks. I got a really bad feeling right now. I'm seeing some shit going on out there, and I got a really bad feeling. I'm not feeling good right now. Yeah, that's vibes. Just roll with it, okay? I'm actually pretty good at this. And I got a bad feeling. So it kind of doesn't even matter if we decided to leave fossil fuels in the ground as of this week. Which we won't, of course. But it wouldn't matter if we did. Because it's going down now. It's going down. It's going down. And now we're going to burn more fossil fuels than ever. Because we were trying to prop this thing up. We're going to try to prop this up, and we're going to have to burn fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas in abundance, more than we ever did, just trying to save ourselves from the harm we've done by burning coal, oil, and natural gas so far. Now we have to burn more just to save ourselves from what we've done already. That's why no one has any business being hopeful about this. Because the thing we have to do, we cannot do unless we're willing to die. and nobody's ready to die. No one's signing up for that. I'm not. You're not. No one is. So we're going to drive, fly, and manufacture our way right into the nearest appropriate hellhole. Welcome to the hellscape. Welcome to my world. I've been here for a long time. Welcome to the hellscape. I had a picture for this video. I might as well put it up. This is what we're up against. This is the Shoggoth. And it devours everything. It's chaos. And we are now in the grips of a beast. The Earth dynamic system, which we thought was our mother and would support us and sustain us, has turned into a monster. And now we don't even understand what it's going to do. It's just going to do what it does. It's going to be physics, and we're not going to understand it. It's going to be too complicated. It's going to happen too quickly. We're going to turn to the scientists, and the scientists are going to say, well, it's this, that, and the other thing, and we're just going to say, I don't understand half the words you just said. And it doesn't even matter that you don't understand half the words that the scientists are saying. Because knowing doesn't do you or the scientist or me or anyone else any good. We have to stop burning fossil fuels. 70 years ago, which we did not do. And when you've been going 100 miles an hour down the freeway and thinking you've got a handle on things, and then you see that the bridge is out, and it's right, and the sign that says bridge out is right there in your headlights, right? You're saying, bridge is out, and it's like 40 feet away, and you're still going 100 miles an hour. Okay, you should have slowed down half a mile ago. That's when you should have slowed down. That's when they should have put the sign that warned you that the bridge is out ahead half a mile further down the road, but they didn't. They betrayed you. They've created a trap. The fossil fuel companies created a trap. Now, they had their reasons for doing it, but they took the sign that says bridge out ahead and they put it right where the bridge is out. And you've been going 100 miles an hour thinking you've got a handle on things, and now you see the sign that says the bridge is out. And now you're going to go right through that sign because you can't stop. And you may think, oh, I can stop. I'm going to try. I'll drive off the road. I'll lock it up. I'll jump over the bridge. I've got rocket-powered sleds under my car, and I'll jump over the bridge. And Batman and Superman, they can do that kind of stuff. And the Green Lantern and all these comic superheroes and G.I. Joe and, whatever. Jump over the bridge with my rocket-powered sled car. And you'll have all these stories about how you're going to jump. And you could go down into the chasm. Because you can't do those things. That's fantasy. And maybe it helps you feel better. And you start punching buttons on the dashboard of your car, thinking one of those is the retro rockets to bounce you over the bridge. You're punching buttons. All you're doing is dialing radio stations. Those buttons don't do anything. You don't have rockets. You don't have any way to save yourself. If anyone had cared to save you, they would have taken the sign that says bridge out, and they would have put it right on the bridge. They would have put it half a mile back. And then they would have had a police officer with the lights going around. Okay? And they might have even had a roadblock. Wouldn't that be nice? They have a roadblock with police officers and the lights going around and the sign that says bridge is out. And you could, if you ran through the roadblock, at least you'd have a half a mile to stop. But that's how they would have done it. But that would have been 70 years ago. And we didn't do it. And now, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to be the one to have to tell you this, but we've hit the end of the road, as far as I can see. I got a bad feeling, folks. I got a really bad feeling about this. Oh, yeah, I got a bad feeling. I don't know what happens next, but I don't like it. The Earth dynamic system is about to become a monster. Do not imagine, do not even imagine that you're going to understand any of that. I'm on the edge of understanding it. I'm this close to understanding it. But this close might as well be a mile. I'm nowhere near understanding this, but I got a bad feeling right now, just coming home from my walk. I'm like, oh, hell's bells. That's what I got for you today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, probably you should be. I am dedicated to this, being more dedicated every day. And if you want this video to do very well out there in algorithm land, leave a like, leave a comment if you want to. And I don't know, more people need to understand that we are about to go over the cliff. This is going to get ugly, folks. I don't even know how ugly it's going to be. It's going to get ugly. And everything that you thought was going to be fine, I'm afraid now is not going to be fine at all. And as usual, my admonition to you, my recommendation for you is don't die. Seriously. Just understand. That's your responsibility. Yes, it's complicated. Yes, no one understands this. Yes, I'm worried. Yes, bad things are coming. Clearly now I can see bad things are coming. Yeah, it's vibes, but it doesn't matter. I'm pretty good at this, and it's not looking good, folks. And your responsibility is to survive. Don't die. Whatever you do, don't die.